In 1963, Diefenbaker bought a large number of Sea Kings from Sikorsky. Sikorsky is an American-based company, and there was a lot of flack at the time to giving Canadian dollars to American companies.
By the Canadian Prime Minister John Diefenbaker. He announces the Arrow project is being cancelled.
But the Sea Kings have lasted a long time. This is now their 54th year in active service. The aircraft were only intended to be in service for 30 years. In 1985, a review showed that the Sea Kings did not meet Canada's needs as an anti-submarine helicopter. We needed something larger. So a large review went out to find the best helicopter for the job in a fair competition. In 1986, the helicopter manufacturers sent out invitations to purchase 3 helicopters. They were Sikorsky's Seahawk, Aerospatiale's Super Puma, and AgustaWestland's EH-101. Midway through the process, Aerospatiale decided to rename their product the Cougar to try and make it more appealing to Canada. The awkward move distanced them in the bid process, and inevitably the EH-101 was chosen. While they were involved in sealing the deal, it was revealed that their CH-113 Labrador was also in need of replacement, and this is where the controversy begins. Instead of buying 35 EH-101s to replace 35 Sea Kings, they were now buying 50 EH-101s to replace 35 Sea Kings and 15 CH-113s. This made the price tag skyrocket and made for a scandal. Canadians were being led to believe that they were now being fleeced by corrupt Brian Mulroney and that other competitors were offering far less. The Liberals sided with Sikorsky, Seahawk, believing that they were the cheapest option and the best for the job. The public was rarely made aware that this large purchase was being done to replace 2 helicopters and not 1. Our northern helicopter, the CH-113, were never replaced until 2003. The reason was because the order fell apart in 1992, and in 1993 an election was held. The Liberals won. The Liberals called the EH-101 a Cadillac because of the high price tag. The Liberals cancelled all outgoing progressive conservative military contracts and promised to hold a fair contest. Eventually. The cost was $500 million to cancel this one contract. The 90s were known by the military as the Decade of Darkness. Military budgets were slashed, everything was falling apart. The Air Force claimed that it would take a day of maintenance for 1 hour flight from a Sea King. The Liberals had spent more maintenance on the Sea Kings in the first year in power than the entire order of EH-101s. Worse yet, this was a group purchase helicopter with other countries involved to keep the price lower. All other countries involved got their helicopters ahead of time and under budget. The Liberals delayed replacement for this helicopter. At one point, Jean Chrétien claimed that the President of the United States flies in a Sea King, so if it's good for the President, it is good enough for Canada. In 2002, when the Canadian fleet was in the Middle East, a Sea King crashed on the landing pad of an Iroquois-class destroyer after the rotor disconnected. The embarrassment was high, and confirmed what critics were saying. These things needed to be replaced. The Liberals immediately opened up their fair bidding process they had promised before, but tailored it in such ways that the EH-101 that they had heavily demonized, so heavily as a Cadillac, could not be considered. John McCallum was defense minister at the time, and had a bid for 2 different contracts for helicopters of the same purpose. He was forced to reverse this when the Department of Defense demanded that only 1 helicopter be selected to decrease the cost of maintenance. The contest was held between Sikorsky's Super Hawk, the NH Industries NH-90, and the AgustaWestland EH-101. The NH-90 was disqualified for not meeting specifications. Critics indicated that the Super Hawk wouldn't actually fit on our Iroquois-class destroyers and didn't technically meet specifications either. But the Liberals crafted a deal where General Dynamics in Ontario would get part of the manufacturing contract. The new helicopters were scheduled for delivery in 2008.
Are we flying backwards, beastie?
And in 2008, the helicopters did not come. They were behind schedule and over budget. These new 35 helicopters were now costing almost 3 times as much as buying 50 helicopters from AgustaWestland. By 2012, the design that they intended to use had changed. They now wanted to include a General Electric engine that weighed far more, which meant they were far less efficient. This meant having to redesign the entire thing, and this represented an area where the new Conservative government could cancel these contracts. They negotiated a new penalty system, in which they would have to pay fines for late delivery. These fines have now accumulated to over $500 million and continue to go up. In 2015, the first delivery of these helicopters arrived. The Navy claimed that these helicopters were not actually functional and were missing key systems. In tests, they were incapable of performing their anti-submarine function. In 2016, the same 6 helicopters were delivered, still missing key systems. They were slightly better at detecting submarines, but ultimately still not ready. After all this time and all the problems, the Sea King is still in commission, and their maintenance represents an unfair burden on Canadian taxpayers.